Welcome back, subscribers, and welcome new viewers to today's reading from my Saturn book. And special thanks go out to Christy and Jake, who have made this video possible. And I want to thank all of my subscribers, everyone who has liked and who shares my videos, because that helps my whole channel to circulate out to more and more individuals who need this information just like you. So thank you, each and every one of you. I am so grateful that I can share this and that it is assisting all of you. Okay. And I also want to thank each and every one of you who have donated to my channel. Thank you for supporting me. That truly helps me to continue this purpose that I feel so strongly is invaluable for each and every one of us. And I want to thank all of you in the past who wanted to donate, but you weren't able to because I did not have a PayPal account. Well, I now have one. So any of you now or in the future would like to donate, the link is to the PayPal account is in the description box below this video and most of my videos, not all of them. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, and now I've never had this happen before. Before I started the video, I got an intuitive prompting that said, possibly, I don't know, we'll see once I start reading, that if I am called to do a tarot card reading along with this for someone specific, whether Christy, I don't know if it might be for you, or Jake, it might be for you. I got both of you, possibly, or viewer, it could be for you or several of you. So I don't know. Again, we'll see. Let's just get started in reading, and if that comes to me to go ahead at any particular moment in this reading, I will do so. Okay. And any of you who would like a written copy of this, just email me and let me know, and I would certainly be happy to send it to you, or any of my readings that you would like. And if any of you would like an interpretation of your natal wheel, I would be happy to do that. Send me an email. And of course, all of the information that I would need, if you don't already know, is in the description box below each and every video, and my email address as well. Okay. So this is for all of us who have natal Saturn in aspect to natal Neptune. All right. Neptune may be considered to symbolize another facet of the collective unconscious, in that he symbolizes an impersonal or group urge rather than a personal one, and may require the sacrifice of some aspect of the personality in order to fulfill this urge. While Uranus is connected with collective or archetypal ideas, Neptune is connected with collective feelings. And while Uranian unity with the group occurs through the power of the creative mind, Neptunian unity is a product of emotional identification or empathy. Oh, that's amazing. He is symbolic of that urge within the psyche toward submergence of individual desire in the greater desires of the whole. He is really a female rather than a male principle, and seems symbolic of mass emotional response. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. If you don't already know, this reader is talking about the energy of Neptune, the energy of Neptune is more symbolic of the female because it's intuitive, it's a receiver, it's receiving intuitive information, empathic information about the collective. Okay, instead of male, the male energy is action oriented, is doing. It would be giving the sending the information, possibly. Okay. In this role, Neptune is also a destroyer because in fulfilling the demand of the mass, he often becomes the enemy of a man's basic personal emotional needs. Neptune is sometimes associated with the entire sphere of unconscious, particularly with the idea of the collective unconscious. But this is limiting the scope of the psyche to a purely feeling base, when in actuality, the sea of unconsciousness gives birth to all the functions of consciousness: feeling, thinking, sensation, and intuition. Neptune is particularly connected with the erosion of the differentiated intellect because he is an entirely irrational planet and urges the individual toward identification with the feeling unity of the whole. The ocean is a suitable symbol for Neptune because of its depths, its constant movement, its mystery, and its value as a symbol for the beginning and end of life, the place of emergence and disappearance. Attempting to come to terms with an archetype like this may seem difficult, or perhaps abstruse, but the outer planets do not lend themselves to easy interpretation by the intellect. The energy of which Neptune is a symbol is hardly able to be described by a key word. It needs to be amplified by the mythological and psychological connections before the planet begins to assume real meaning on the individual birth chart. The symbol of the ocean, the source of life, and its association with death by drowning are evocation of a response by the intuition, where the intellect may fail to comprehend the symbol. This is an impersonal force, and Neptunian effects are in a sense like death by drowning. The individual is submerged in the sea of collective feeling and loses his individual emotional responses. As a separate feeling entity, he ceases to exist. This experience can be observed any time in the response of a crowd whose emotions have been aroused. The individuals have ceased to exist, but the crowd is now a unit with a single feeling response that is wholly irrational. Okay. As Saturn symbolizes the urge to isolate and build a differentiated personality structure through concrete experience, he is quite naturally opposed to the vague, self-emulating urges of Neptune. These two planets have nothing in common, and this dissimilarity is aggravated by Saturn's tendency to play shadow to any planet that contacts him. Yes, because Saturn has everything to do, the planet of Saturn is about authority and is about staying in control, mastery, and staying to task wherever your Saturn placement is in your natal wheel. And so, yes, so especially the hard aspects, which would be opposition, square, or conjunct, those of you who have any of those hard aspects to Saturn and Neptune, then it's going to be difficult, and you probably have a hard time differentiating what this author is explaining to you. And you can definitely, I'm sure all of you can relate in some aspect, or you will be able to, if you haven't yet, to certain experiences. Okay. As Neptune is a planet connected with feelings and with mass sensitivity of an undifferentiated kind, Saturn usually assumes the role of the concrete mind, working for the protection of the individual. Yeah, so you would be at odds with your personal self, because Saturn's trying to keep you with yourself, and then your Neptune energy coming in is you're getting sensory, empathic sensations, feelings, emotions, frequencies from the collective. And so that could be very confusing, of course. Okay. The nature of the struggle which ensues seems to lie between the person's need to protect his own interests and maintain his separateness, and his urge to transcend himself and lose himself in the sea of common human emotion as an act of self-redemption. The significance of the ritual act of martyrdom or self-sacrifice on behalf of the group needs to be considered before we can come to terms with Neptune's tendency to lead the individual headlong into a denial of his deepest desires. Otherwise, we tend to use the term masochism loosely, as though this urge were wholly pathological. There is an aspect of this kind of sacrifice which is easily observable in myth and folklore, and which seems to be connected with the idea that the individual is redeemed and becomes godlike, or returns to the gods through self-sacrifice. This is an archaic idea which is far from pathological, for it appears to have spiritual as well as psychological validity. This Neptunian tendency towards self-immolation causes him to be interpreted as a malefic influence. He is certainly malefic to the form side of life and to the personal desires if these go against the urge of the total psyche. So what I'm getting is that all of you have, you are going to be going against the grain of what personally, or you're going to have a hard time between your personal values and the new collective understanding, and where collectively we are to go now. We are to move as far as past traditions, past beliefs. And so some of you might be dealing with that right now, and battling that within yourself, because you were born with a certain belief system in your family, or you up to this point you've had a specific belief system, is what I'm getting for some of you, and for you personally, and how you are to live your life. And now you're getting a universal new energy coming to you, new information coming to you, emotions too, that you aren't used to, and you're supposed to now switch. And so, and also maybe some of you do know this, and you started speaking this, and you're getting objection out in the world because you're creating change, and change is painful. Okay. And I hope we're lit enough. Okay. Because it is, the sun keeps going in and out. Okay. This Neptunian tendency towards self, okay, I already got that emulation. Let's see. He does not disrupt and sever as Uranus does, but rather uses the principle of passive resistance or impotence. A personality which is affected by Saturn and Neptune contains the seeds of its own dissolution in some area of life, for there is usually a blind spot, a basic flaw in the shell of the ego, through which the collective call for sacrifice may enter. Yes, to sacrifice your personal beliefs or how you've lived personally, something about yourself personally, how you viewed or a perspective that you've had. Yes, and you're being called to let that go and sacrifice that for the cause of maybe going from the Piscean age. Maybe it has to do something going from the Piscean age into this Aquarian age that we've just begun as well. Absolutely. This is a big, big, big transformation for each and every one of us and the whole universe. Usually, pity, aspiration, and that exalted kind of romantic love, which is so characteristically Neptunian, are the triggers which work through the personal feelings to sacrifice the individual to the groove. In the ordinary person, Neptune works through ordinary human emotion, but there is usually a touch of exaltation, the giddiness or ecstasy before the self-immolation. There is a breath of Dionysian madness in Neptune, although he is generally masked by a mild and self-sacrificing quality. Oh yes, I just have to say, it has everything to do with going from the Piscean age, because the planet of Pisces is Neptune, and the Saturn is the natural planet for Capricorn. And right now, Capricorn, it has been in, and it still is in, Pluto is in Capricorn right now, and it has been. And Pluto is the planet of transformation. Wow, okay. So you are all being called upon, all of you watching. You are watching this for a reason. You have been sent to this channel to start dealing with this right now, because you are a huge part of this, going from the Piscean age into the Aquarius age. All of you, each and every one of you who are listening right now, or who, whenever you are drawn to this specific video. Wow, that's beautiful. And I think what I'm getting is, if I have enough time, I'm being called at the end of this reading to then do a quick tarot to give some more specific information. And now I'm understanding why I got that. I didn't at first, but now I'm understanding why, because this is a big thing, a big deal. Okay. The moment of ecstasy is the moment of self-transcendence, and the individual experiences one of those rare flashes of oneness with life, which is called the mystical vision. Wow. This is a deeply personal experience, which is perfectly real to those who have experienced it, and perfectly meaningless to those who have not. So no one's going to understand, but you will. And that's the most important thing. That's the only thing that matters, is you are going to get at some point in your life, a mystical vision. There is no way to articulate the psychic effect of Neptune seeping through the Saturnian defenses except to suggest, once again, the image of death by drowning with the touch of ecstasy. This kind of exalted consciousness, colored by feeling and wholly irrational, can occur through some small act, such as the kind of sacrifice one habitually makes for a child. Wow, this is a big deal. It is the meaning of the sacrifice as an act of love, which is of collective significance. Wow, which is the key to Neptune. One feels at one with all humanity at the moment, or at that moment. The way in which the sacrifice comes is only incidental. It is no wonder that the hard aspects of Saturn and Neptune are often associated with drugs and alcohol. So those of you, yes, that have hard aspecting, if you were into drugs or you are into drugs and alcohol, this could very well be why. Because you have at least one of the reasons why. Root reasons. Because you have a hard aspect to Neptune and Saturn. And Neptune right now, currently, today is April 21st. It is in Pisces, its natural house and sign. Natural sign, I should say. So depending too, anyway, okay. I'll stop there. Let me keep reading because I have to have time to do, wow, okay. Let me see how much time we have. Okay. Having tasted the ecstasy once, it's often difficult to accept the fact that it might not return. And that's why you would be doing, some of you might be doing drugs or have done drugs or drinking, because you're trying to get that ecstasy to return, that transcendent mystical vision, that what was ecstasy, touch of ecstasy, feeling again. Okay. Dionysus is an addictive god because for more individuals, the only way in which they can touch the group life is through the feeling nature. Neptune is, in a sense, more accessible than Uranus. For most people feel, but not many people know how to think. Saturn-Neptune contacts are usually associated with the creative imagination and with the individual's power to create in tangible form the outpourings of that imagination. The main quality of Neptunian imagination, whether it is expressed through color, sound, movement, or words, is that it is archetypal. It touches the deeper levels of feeling, which are shared by everybody. The Neptunian songwriter's lyrics evoke a response from the mass because each person responds by feeling that the words have been written for him alone. The Neptunian painter's imagery has the quality of seeming familiar and magnetic to everyone because each person has seen this same imagery before in his own dreams and fantasies. The gift of Neptune is the contact with archetypal feeling experience, and the individual with a Saturn-Neptune contact is given the opportunity to communicate this experience through his own creative expression. He becomes the transmitter of the archetype in much the same way as the Saturn-Uranus individual may transmit the ideas of the group. In some area of life, this opportunity is given, and even if the individual is not himself an artist in the usual sense of the word, he can at some point experience and relate to others the ecstasy of having plunged into the collective feeling stream. He may only create fantasies, But there are moments in his fantasies when he is all men, and his feelings are no longer his own. Wow, how beautiful. Christy, I am being called to tell you, I hope you don't mind, you keep painting your beautiful, beautiful paintings. And whatever else you see fit, writing I'm getting. And Jake, there's something specific for you to do too. It might be writing, it might be speaking. But that's up to both of you, and that's up to all of you viewers. You have a specific, special creative ability, Neptunian creative ability. Okay. The individual must, however, pay a price for this plunge. Part of his own isolated ego is eroded by the contact. He can no longer claim to be wholly individual in his emotional experiences. He is not able to say that his desires are unique. Saturn's illusion of isolation and his tendency to consider group feelings banal and full of sentiment usually must give way before the very real experience of the power of the feeling life of the group. Neptune has no sentiment. He is impersonal. Sentiment belongs to the sphere of Venus and the moon. This is the death by drowning, the baptism into collective emotional life. One's personal desires, as a result, seem petty and insignificant, particularly when they demand the submission of others' desires for their fulfillment. It is no wonder that the ancients thought this experience to be a sacred one, capable of purification and containing the quality of deity. Unfortunately, as it has taken us almost 200 years to begin to appreciate the idea of a group mind as it is suggested by Uranus, it will undoubtedly take us another 100 years to begin to appreciate Neptune in a clearer form. So far, he has expressed himself in a rather distorted way and seems to work badly with the kind of inner psychic structure evidenced by our society. Maybe some of you are going to change that. Maybe that's what you're here for, or partly here for. This may be because we have attempted to repress the feeling function, forcing it underground into the unconscious, where it becomes contaminated with all kinds of distortions and peculiarities. And that's true, and that's why possibly some of you, or a lot of you, probably you must at least be working through your South Node at the same time, or completing or have completed your South Nodal work before this whole ability of yours will burst forth. Okay. Just keep going. All of you keep going. Okay, so where was I? Let's see here. Yeah, okay. Saturn Neptune people have the tendency to become self-appointed messiahs. The numinous quality of the collective idea of self-sacrifice becomes distorted by the sense of personal inadequacy connected with Saturn, and the individual may begin to identify himself as a personality with the mass, and may believe that it is in some mysterious way his mission to save others by his own sacrifice. He may in reality have this mission. He may also instead be attempting to salvage the dissolving remains of his personal ego. One may never be completely sure with Saturn-Neptune contacts because they very probably incorporate both points of view. So you have to have a balance between Saturn and Neptune. Self-sacrificing and your personal self. And where the Saturn-Uranus individual may be attracted to the realm of law, organization, and social custom, the Saturn-Neptune person is often attracted to the realm of religion and of spiritual path. It is an unfortunate fact that there is no group of people more riddled with delusions of grandeur, megalomania, petty backbiting, struggles for power, emotional blindness, and exaggerated sentiment than those who aspire to the path of discipleship. This appears to be one of the hazards of the path, and it is more subtle and a later stage than the initial Uranian energy, which often causes the individual to stop in mid-career and completely reverse his life. In psychological terms, it might be said that certain disciples tend to evoke the response of the collective psyche or put the individual in closer personal touch with these energies. The meeting of the personal psyche, outlined by Saturn, and the collective energies is always a precarious meeting, even if it has occurred 100 times before. If this contact occurs before the personality has been stabilized and before the psychic qualities with Saturn represents are digested and integrated, then inflation is usually the result. Neptunian inflation occurs because the feeling nature in man is so powerful, and under Neptune one is easily glamored because the ecstasy of experiencing the group feeling life tends to make an individual forget that there is a destructive aspect to this ecstasy. So there has to be balance, of course. In order to clarify this, it is perhaps useful to consider the last 2,000 years, which have brought us in touch with Neptunian glamour through the constellation of Pisces, and which has given expression to 2 millennia of religious intolerance, fanaticism, and brutality, living happily side by side with the Christian concepts of love, charity, kindness, and self-sacrifice. Yes, the Piscean age. We obviously do not yet fully understand Neptune. We only perceive him dimly through the religious symbolism of the Mass and through the trends of what we call glamour. These are outer expressions of the psychic undercurrents of the collective unconscious. When a particular fashion or musical style sweeps the civilized world and becomes a symbol for a group emotional urge, then we may glimpse Neptune at work. He always expresses through the feeling nature and affects our emotional values. The contacts of Saturn and Neptune seem to suggest that the individual is given the opportunity for integration of these 2 principles so that the personality can become a vehicle for expression in a creative way of the collective emotions of the group. It is probable that this is only relative integration, for it is very likely that we are not yet able to register Neptune except in an imperfect fashion. The vision may only occur during moments in one's life and in apparently small ways. For the person who is able to respond consciously, the opportunity appears to be present for the use of collective feelings as a creative tool. You see what time it is? Okay. Saturn-Neptune contacts are important for an artist because they give him the freedom of the group feeling life as a source of inspiration. However, not everyone is an artist. The man who does not express himself in this way must find another vehicle for Saturn Neptune, and this is often in the area of personal relationships and is his spiritual aspirations. A precarious balance usually needs to be maintained so that the collective feelings do not swamp the personality. Otherwise, there is indeed madness. However, Saturn-Neptune contacts appear to be a good guarantee of the possibility of this kind of delicate balance. In the average individual, Neptune and Saturn are symbols of sentiment and practicality, for all he is able to perceive consciously is the tip of the iceberg. He may be unaware of the slow purification of his feeling nature, which occurs below the surface through each act of sacrifice and each contact with mass emotion. The power of any work of art seems to lie in part in its capacity to evoke or constellate the collective psyche. And in acquiring this power, the artist must first sacrifice his personality as an isolated unit so that he can become, at least partially, an emissary or transmitter for group feeling. Wow. Thus, art becomes an alchemical process by which the artist is slowly transformed and redeemed, and in so doing, redeems others. Big deal. All of you are so essential. These are difficult concepts, but Neptune is a subtle planet. As a group, we have not yet developed the sensitivity necessary to interpret Neptune without distortion. Some few individuals succeed to a degree. Ironically, Saturn-Neptune contacts abound among the heroes of the entertainment world, both in music and in films. This is connected with the power to communicate collective feelings and evoke a collective response. These figures speak with the voice of millions when they express an emotion which is unique to them personally, yet is also common to all. We do not all express genius in this way, nor can we express madness. However, for those individuals who have Saturn-Neptune contacts, there is always the brief glimpse of genius or madness, the plunge into the water for the brief experience of Neptunian ecstasy. Wow. Wow. That is very big. Okay, so I am going to quickly here, because I promised I would do, okay, I'm gonna, yeah, okay, let's see what comes of the tarot cards. Again, this is the first time I've ever been called to do this, but apparently some of you or one of you, I don't really know, you maybe can leave me a comment and let me know who this is for, or several of you maybe. Okay, so what further do they need to know? Oh, wow. Okay, so let me see if there's any more cards. Number 4 of Wands came out. So some of you who I'm getting, there's a celebration. There's a celebration coming for some of you. I don't know when. I don't know if this is now or if this has to do in the future with one of your artistic abilities. I'm getting actually someone who paints or draws. You know, when you have a painter who has a, what's it called? when they display, you display all of your work and people come to see your work. That's what I'm seeing. And you're going to have something to celebrate. Wow. And then I also got to some of you, you're going to come into a union with another, and that is what is going to create that combination, that joining of energy, that uniting of energy is going to create, of course, a celebration, but you will then, both of you together will express and share whatever creative abilities you two have, and express the Saturn and Neptune in a very, very positive way. And it's going to, all of you are going to help the world, help others, bring in this Aquarian age of unity and compassion and true love and truth in some way. Okay, so then the Two of Swords, yes, so tune into you're very, very intuitive. You have psychic ability, and it's going to be different for all of you. And you're going to know it. Again, I had the Page of Swords. You are going to know it when that aha moment happens, when that you get that spark, or I can't remember what the word was, you get that aha vision. You're going to know it. You're going to know it, and you're going to take action. You're going to know how to take action. And so you will have clarity. Again, I don't know if this is past, present, or maybe some of you, this might have just happened to you, and this is confirmation. Yes, again, very, very psychic. So pay attention to your emotions, your energies when you're around people, when you are, I'm also getting, here's the Four of Swords, when you're by your own self. A lot of you are going to need to take that special time for yourself when you're not around anyone else in your environment. You are in your own space so that you can tune in, and you will start getting collective promptings. And that will be the best time also, maybe if you don't know or how to clarify whether it's something collective or coming from you or what's going on. It's when you're in your private time and you are balancing, or you are balanced, you are calm, when your questions will be answered. I just got questions will be answered. So there's a lot about intuition, and those of you, there's some of you, maybe you don't even realize how intuitive you are, and that you're getting the collective promptings now, and maybe that's driving some of you crazy, and you just didn't know, and you thought you're going crazy. I just got for someone. So you're not crazy. This is what it is. And it is, when we're very sensitive, it also, you don't like it, and some of you might have tried to shut it off, or have shut it off, and now you're seeing, no, this is your strength. This is absolutely your strength once you get a hold of this. And again, any of you who do not know what your south nodes of the moon are, I highly, highly, highly cannot stress upon you enough to find out. Let me know. I am an astrologer, if you don't already know, 27 plus years. My thing is, my video is going to stop, so I better stop. But send me an email. I can give you information. I can find out what your nodes are. If you know what they are, I need to send you your written copy. I have past videos. You can look at my playlist too. But that's essential, because that's a blockage. Anyway, okay. So I'm going to stop here. It's at 44. And until next time, I hope this helped. Please leave me a comment. Let me know. Okay. Until next time, bye.